Deaf.
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 Bye.
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 Death by daylight.
My bad. What up, what up?
Mountain girl, so I'm sure he's fine.
He's fucked the wrong mom this time, and he's
And now the moms are fucking back. Hey,
Where's the air horn?
Play Dead presents a game by Art Jensen. Oh, is this like the okay? Yeah, I had never seen that before. That's right. Today we are talking. This is episode number 25. We are talking about Jack the Ripper. And
Josh, you seem excited.
I'm trying to be as excited as possible because you and I are gonna fucking carry this show along, you know.
All right, would you consider yourself a ripperologist?
Oh my god.
No, and I was made aware of that term, and I'm very glad that you brought it up.
Oh, why did you say "oh my god" Ernie? That's a real fucking thing.
Is it really?
People consider them. Yes.
I thought you were just being a corny ass dad.
No. People
No.
who study Jack the Ripper and everything that he's done and all his crimes to solve his fucking mystery, they consider themselves ripperologists. It's a real fucking thing.
Well, and that brings me to a really I'm glad you brought it up because no one, including myself or anyone here, when we picked this subject to start off our Halloween October season, which we're very happy to be part of. And we hope that you spend it with us. We hope that you tune in. We're going to be attempting to do 2 shows every week. We are going to stop promising that it'll be Friday because obviously we have a lot of stuff going on, but we are going to be releasing shows. So it gives you more incentive to follow us and to keep up with updates so that we can tell you when we're going to be live. This is our first ever Sunday night show. We're happy to be here with you. We're happy to be part of your October season, and we're going to be starting off with Jack the Ripper. But like Jesus was saying, there is an abundance, an absolute plethora of information regarding Jack the Ripper, and we are by no means, we've said this over and over, a true crime podcast. We are not. We're covering serial killers. We want to cover the nitty and the gritty and the bullet points, basically. But there are people who have dedicated their whole lives to studying this one man. and he wasn't even that prolific. Like, it's not like he's one of the most notorious serial killers in history because he was one of the first, at least that we know of. The term serial killer would not even be crowned till almost 100 years later, closer to 90. But um, and so he was absolutely, I mean, just swept up into pop culture in London, into this is a time of literary revolution. We're talking about ending the Industrial Revolution and getting rid of coal and starting a literary revolution. And Jack the Ripper is going to be in the perfect time frame to become famous and to become really one of the most famous killers in history. Notorious is a better word because of his situation. But before we get into that, we've got a lot of
Josh,
stuff to do.
you made this
Yes.
fancy. You made it all so fancy, very intricate. He was killing whores, man.
You're
He's like,
not wrong.
you know, we're going down to history and the time in this revolution and blah blah blah, and it's, all I can hear is like, he's killing whores, man. Like,
He is killing whores.
he's
And
if he was going to Vegas, he was hitting up the penny slots. Let's just put it that way. All
he's
right.
hitting up the penny slots. He's hitting up the bunny ranch. He's real involved in gambling and whores, and really just the general underbelly of society.
But who doesn't love them a good whore? Am I right, fellas?
You're not gonna see me saying fucking turning down a good time, except only in Nevada where it's legal. So we get into drinking. Ernie, are you drinking tonight? It's Sunday. You got to work tomorrow. What's going on?
I'm drinking water. But
Drinking water.
probably-
Very responsible.
I don't know. I'll probably open up a seltzer right now, to be honest. So
All right.
Yeah,
Josh, are
Josh?
you drinking?
Oh, yes, I'm drinking. I'm drinking some Gentleman Jack.
Oh, perfect. Perfect choice. We will get into the Gentleman Jack aspect of Jack the Ripper. You made it sound delicious. I am drinking a, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna just say, Jack Daniels, if you're listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Tennessee, and I love your whiskey, so fucking hit us up.
And we
I
love
am drinking.
whores.
All right, I'm not gonna go on record saying that, but you know, I am drinking a Miller Lite, and I've also got some vodka with me, and then my second beer is gonna, well, it's not a beer, but I'm gonna have a black cherry White Claw once I finish my Miller Lite. So we hope that you're going to be drinking along with us. We hope that you are having a nice Sunday evening. We're here to solve your Sunday scaries. We want to be with you as you make your transition from afternoon to evening, and hopefully you'll settle in with us. Ernie is going to go ahead and give you the Dead by Daylight updates and or just tell you about his build. I'm not sure. But here's Dead by Daylight news with Ernie.
yeah, there's nothing new. Same, same old shit.
Should have done like a news reporter. Like, you always gotta like take a minute and just be like,
It's gonna rain.
"Hey there, Josh. Hey there, yeah. So we're out here, and you know, I saw we have someone here I want to interview, and apparently more whores are dead. Yes.
I like your news voice.
Who do you guys want me to play
Yeah,
as?
so...
Well, this fucking guy who looks like Jack the Ripper. Because that's what he looks like. Everyone knows what he looks like. They caught him, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, they didn't.
Well, so tell us about your build then and who you're playing.
I'm gonna play with the Blight again. I don't know what I'm gonna put as a build though. I guess I'll just run what I did last time, but except for this one. Take this off, and we'll put. What can we put? We'll just run Noid. So. It's just gonna be Discordance to see when two people are on a gen. Undying, so if they get rid of my Ruin and this is still up, then it'll just transfer to another totem. And then same thing with this, it'll be another hex perk. So,
A lot of hexes.
little. And I'll run, let's see. I get faster with each rush, and let's see. I can't go. put me in
Now,
those.
Ernie, when's the last time you've played Survivor for Dead by Daylight?
A few days ago.
Have you played against the Blight?
Yeah.
What would suggestions, I guess, you would give to people if they are going to face you? What would be a good tactic to use as a survivor going against you? Like, what do you not want to see right now happen?
People who know how to loop.
Explain looping.
Well,
Like fruit?
Yeah, like fruit loops. Well, when they just like, because you can't really loop with this killer because he does that whole run thing where you have to run and like hit a wall. So like, if they start looping me and like I'm in that, I'm just like fucked because I have to like find somewhere to bounce off of and then hopefully like run towards them and smack them. So.
Yes, the old run and smack technique.
Jack the Ripper did a little bit of running and smacking himself.
I use that technique with my wife. I'll run in the room, I'll smack her with it, and run right out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
Smack!
Smack! Oh. You're gonna wake up the fucking kid, asshole.
I missed you this time, but I'll get you next time.
Wearing a fucking top hat. You're never gonna catch me.
I'm Jack the Ripper. Well, so
Oh my god.
we're definitely gonna get into. You'll get these jokes if you've never heard of Jack the Ripper, which I doubt, and you're listening. You will get these jokes by the end of the episode.
I want that accent the rest of this episode.
the high class British gentleman.
Yeah.
Oh, I say. It's like a mix between who's that fucking cat that goes exit stage right. I don't know, that cat, and then what they did on It's Always Sunny that's kind of a mix.
It's Garfield.
It's not Garfield. Garfield's the I Hate Mondays cat.
Same shit. It's like,
Yeah, no,
I
it's
hate
either
Mondays
Garfield
and whores.
Garfield or the Pink Panther or some one of those cats. If I told that told that to my parents, I was like, exit stage right, they'd immediately know who that is. You know what? I'm just gonna look it up because
Just Google it real quick. Don't worry.
No, yeah, we're in a loading screen anyway.
Yeah.
And I get fucking the worst map ever.
Snagglepuss.
The old Snagglepuss.
Might have a bit of Snagglepuss in foggy old London town, eh? That's what they called the whore's vagina, is a Snagglepuss.
Oi! You and me mates. Looking to get some Snagglepuss. How much? £4? Bloody hell. I don't know.
It wasn't even. It was 4 penny. We'll get into it. 4 pennies.
Do you think like a penny was a? When was pounds like a thing?
It still is.
Well, so a pound still is a thing, and it was then, but like a quid.
Yes, I have a fucking jar full of quids. Just
so they don't really have pennies anymore. They've just got quid, and then they've got pounds. But a British penny used to be a thing until.
So how much for a pound of puss? You know what I'm saying?
4 pennies. A 4 penny a pound of puss.
They put it like on a fucking, like on a weighing scale, like in a meat market. They're like, a pound of puss. There you go. That'd be 4 pennies. 4 pennies, sir.
I'm not gonna make this. Knew it. Fuck.
I'm on a delay, so I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Did you make it?
Oh,
Nope.
rules. Rules for the game in case you're in your first run with us. You drink every time that Ernie since he's a killer, he's either breaks a generator or he hooks a person. You can take a drink. On the first and third kill, you can take a bigger drink, and then on the second and fourth kill, we will be taking shots. We understand that it's Sunday, and we encourage everyone to drink responsibly, but that's what we're going to be doing.
If you don't get fucked up tonight with me and have a hangover Monday morning, don't come back next week.
Okay, no.
I'm just, just
we
kidding.
cannot afford we cannot afford to be ostracizing our listeners.
No. You listen to me, Josh.
Fuck them, alright? Go hard or go home.
Yeah, that's right. I'm about to
Dude,
fucking chug this gentleman's jack. Ready? On the count of 3.
okay, yes,
1,
1,
2.
2, 3. Please do. No one asked you to, but I didn't miss your wife's birthday, right? Her actual birthday is tomorrow?
No, it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sweet.
She's actually helped me with a lot of research just because I've been fucking busy with fucking work and school and shit like that. So
Well, you had you had a little Oktoberfest today or yesterday, didn't you?
yeah, Oktoberfest. Her brother-in-law, their whole family's German, and his mom cooked us up a bunch of different German cuisine. Drank some beers, and
Did you eat some schnitzel?
I did eat some schnitzel,
Who's
which
schnitzel?
I'm still trying to figure out, like, what the fuck is a schnitzel?
It's just a piece of steak that's like ground down, like not ground down.
See,
beat down flat.
I wish they would have explained it to me like that, because I was thinking like Wiener Schnitzel,
No.
and I'm like, okay, like what the fuck is the Schnitzel part? Because it was meat.
It's essentially a
and
chicken fried steak.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in my head, I was thinking about Wiener Schnitzel, so I was just like, I don't understand, what the fuck is the Schnitzel? Is it the way that you make the meat, or is it just meat in general? Is it
Yeah, it's definitely the way you make the meat. What about a strudel? Did you have a strudel?
I honestly, I put a lot of meat in my mouth. I just closed my eyes and I just played Who's in My Mouth at that point, you know?
Strudel's a dessert with la crème. You put a little crème on top.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I did. And then we had see, when they're all like, we're gonna have dessert now, I was, in my fucking stupid brain, I thought, oh, we're gonna have a chocolate German cake, and that's not what they served us. They gave us all these different dessert options, and it was really delicious. I was really satisfied. There's a German bakery over here near that Steak Pitos region, and that shit got fucking down, bro.
Yeah, steak pitos.
Not German.
We don't do a lot of recommending restaurants on the show, but if you ever get a chance to go to Steak Pitos, go
Or
there.
if you ever get a chance to be a pedo.
No.
Oh no.
Recommendations. You know what they say, once it's 12, it's lunchtime, right?
No.
Yeah, that name would never fucking fly in the UK because they'd be like, pedo? What the fuck you mean pedo, mate? You want a young steak, do you? Pervert.
You pervert.
But
Is that
yeah, go to Steak
the
Pitos.
young steak gonna cost me 4 pennies, or?
I mean, a lot of 4 pennies will buy you a lot of stuff in 1880s London.
It's not even a nickel.
Not even a nickel. But,
I like me some fine quality pussy. Cost me a nickel. Know what I'm saying?
There's this. This is gonna get graphic. So, but there's this show. It was actually a documentary, and it was like one of those, like, you remember like Pimps Up, Hose Down on HBO.
Yeah.
Well, so it was something like that, but it was like less like body. It was like more informative. And this guy, they're just straight talking to this guy. He doesn't even cover his face or anything. Like he's just there, and he's got this fucking like 1994 Astro van, and he's cruising around, and they're like, why do you participate in prostitution? You know that it's illegal. And he goes, man, he's like, pussy's just part of life. You know what I'm saying? Pussy's just part of life. And he goes, and if you can't get it by yourself, which I'm an older man now, it's like you gotta just live your life according to the price of pussy. And the price of pussy about $50. I was like, holy fuck, dude.
Oh my.
I couldn't decide if I was impressed or disgusted. Maybe a little bit of both, but
Oh my god. I have $50 right now. So
your wife might also be one of the 3 people listening. So
shit. Well, I'm gonna go give her $50 then. Happy birthday, baby! Here's $50.
I was disgusted by like the implication of his life philosophy, but I was very impressed how into that philosophy. Like, he was just very confident about his life philosophy with prostitution, and I was a little bit jealous. I want to be that confident when I say anything.
Do you think the price of pussy changes pricing due to the economy at the time? Like it's
Yeah, of
can't
course
think
it
of the
does.
I can't think of the word right now. What is it called?
Inflation.
Inflation. There you go. So it's just like, oh shit, pussy's really good right now. You know, prices be up, but
It's supply and demand, baby.
yeah, supply and demand.
Yeah, I mean,
Jack the Ripper came over here, killed 8 hoes. I only got 2 hoes left. It's gonna be 10 pennies now.
that's more than double the price, man.
That's fucked up, man. You trying to fuck? Yeah, let me go ahead and take that.
Oh, fucked him up.
Where'd he go?
I don't know where he went, but you did hit him once. The gate's not
And,
right there.
It is, but I don't know where he went.
and you got fucking 3 kills?
He almost got. I thought he was gonna get a fourth, but then that fool just straight disappeared.
Oh, there he is. Oh, with the puppet. Damn, we're gonna have to shoot this gentleman's jack, huh?
I'm gonna have to take. Well, let's just go ahead and take one because we know Elias has 2, and then we can work through that second one in a little bit here. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Jack the Ripper.
Cheers.
Fucking. Ah,
Delicious.
delicious. Oh, there he is.
Skeevy. Delicious. Love me good. Scoots, love me good. Well,
So, Josh.
better with the blight than you think you are, obviously, dude, because
Right.
that's your second 4K on the like while we're live.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
You just
like-
fucking running and bouncing off stuff?
yeah. They're little babies, so
Okay.
that's why.
Little bit of slap and tickle, then.
Ah.
So we're gonna go ahead and get into. We'll take our second shot here in a second, but we are going to get into Jack the Ripper now. Ernie,
Shut-
why don't you just tell them what you're gonna do moving forward so that they can be informed?
I'm gonna play Limbo. It's like a little puzzle game.
Oh.
Maybe I'll jump back
Puzzle.
into DVD, but I don't know. Whoever's
Ooh.
watching, it's a pretty cool game. Just want to show you guys. It's like it's about this little boy. He's dead, and he's looking for his dead sister in Limbo, and he's going through
Okay.
all these obstacles that are trying to like perma kill him and shit.
Dark, very dark.
Yeah.
But I've seen it played, and it does look like a lot of fun.
He knows.
Um,
He knows he's dead.
Yeah, he does.
He knows his sister's dead too.
He's trying to.
He does know those two things.
I'm just saying, because you could be dead and be like, "Yo, where's my sister at?" Oh, she might still be alive. I'm gonna just go do some other stuff.
All right. Moving on. So moving forward, as far as Death by Daylight is concerned, we are gonna do this kind of thing. I mean, we're gonna be primarily Dead by Daylight for sure. Like mostly Dead by Daylight. And when we're not going to be, it's just gonna be called like a stream or like come hang out. We're not gonna call it an episode and then do this. But we are gonna veer every once in a while from. So the last time that we did it, there were server issues, and we were in the middle of an episode and we didn't want to cancel. So we might every once in a while move from one game to another, but please don't be discouraged. I mean, we are a Dead by Daylight podcast, so we're going to keep doing that. He is going to play Limbo, which is if you've never played a game like this, or like you're hesitant to play 2D scrollers, they are not the same games they used to be. They are very fucking fun to play. The physics in this game is unreal. It's so much fun to be a part of. So check this game out. And yeah,
I just
I
figured
encourage you to play it.
like it's Sunday, might as well like show people like something else for once. See if you guys.
Yeah, and maybe that'll be like a Sunday thing where we play something else. I mean, I don't know how many.
Welcome to
Sundays.
Sunday's episode where we show you dead children.
But the thing about Limbo for our episode specifically too is that it's a perfect aesthetic. You're talking about London in the 1880s. You're talking about the district of Whitechapel, and in Whitechapel, the Whitechapel district of London is comparable to areas now of New York or areas of uh, giant Tokyo, where you have in Whitechapel you had 76,000 people living in 1 square mile. I want you to try to picture 76,000 people in 1 square mile. It is very hard to
Stacked.
do. Yeah, I mean, just stacked on top of each other. And this is before skyscrapers. So there were buildings with several layers, obviously, maybe even 6 stories, maybe. I'm unsure, but not more than that. Not a ton more than that. And so you're talking about just an ungodly amount of people, 10, 11 people living in the size of what might be your bedroom now. All, 40 people, 50 people sharing one bathroom. I mean,
Ugh,
just
sounds like
just
it smells.
it absolutely did smell. Um, Jack London, who was an American author, described it as a hellhole filled with disease and open sores. Um,
Ah,
so,
I don't know why.
yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know why I odd that. Like, it's pretty disgusting.
well,
Ah,
so
open sores, you don't say.
Jack London did visit there in a time where crossing the pond, as they say, was not an easy feat, and he was absolutely disgusted by what he found in the Whitechapel district of London. This also, so in one way to think about it is this made Jack the Ripper's job easier because there's so much going on. There's so much shit happening. Getting drunk and whores and drugs and whatever the fuck else you could possibly think of.
Sounds like my kind of party.
Mine too, buddy. And there are only 546 police to run or police this area of 78,000 people. And so when there would be the cry of murder, like someone would go, "Murder! I'm being murdered." It was said to happen multiple times a night on every single block. And there just wasn't enough help or people willing to help to do anything about it. The call that people responded more to was actually a cry that the police were harassing them because people were very suspicious of the police. The police, that the modern way we view police, the Metropolitan Police of London, were not established until 50 years before Jack the Ripper started. People were very suspicious of them and only saw them as thugs of the establishment. So you're looking at Sodom and Gomorrah. You're looking at the American Wild West, all bunched up into this one fucked up place.
I could
And
just
so
picture Ja Rule yelling, "It's murder!"
every fucking
Yeah.
that's just his job in 1880s London. He just stands on the street and
It's
every time there's a body,
murder.
murder. Where would I be without you?
You...
Um, and,
all right, go on to the fucking fucker.
Here's where we are with Jack the Ripper. He is in this place that is just unruly. There's a lot of people to witness his crimes, but he was very careful, and he was never caught. There are suspects, and we'll get into a little bit of that. But everyone is here for the gore and the nitty gritty details of Jack the Ripper, and so that's where we're going to start off with. So the reason he was called, and actually, he was not called Jack the Ripper until an event that we'll talk about. He actually was first known as the Leather Apron, and that's because
Yeah. That's because...
Go ahead, yes, please.
No, I was gonna make some stupid joke and I forgot.
Damn
the
it.
Jack, the fucking gentleman Jack is starting to hit me, guys. All right, let's all right,
Let's pack it in there, bud. Let's pack it in.
all right. Sober up, Jesus. Sober up.
So the Leather Apron nickname came from the only time anyone ever got a glimpse of him. They saw that he was wearing this, not an apron, but a fucking coat, a cape, which what he was wearing was called an apron. He was called Leather Apron. But then, after several murders I think it was the first 11 murders were committed, someone wrote in claiming to be Jack the Ripper, and he gave himself that nickname, although it would later be said that that guy was not actually the killer. but he sent in a preserved human kidney to prove that he was in fact Jack the Ripper, and that's where the name came. And that's important. That's an important distinction because many historians and experts believe that if Jack the Ripper was not called Jack the Ripper, if his name had been the Killer of Whitechapel or stayed Leather Apron, then he would not have gained the notoriety that he has now. They believe that Jack the Ripper, the actual name itself, has a large part to do in what he actually accomplished as far as not the actual killings but the notoriety of what he would become. Um,
Which name do you like the most, Josh?
I actually think Leather Apron's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's pretty dope.
but I mean, Jack the Ripper's a pretty fucking sick name if you're gonna
Yeah,
be calling him a serial
it has
killer.
a pretty nice ring to it, and I think if I'm not mistaken, when you're regarding that letter, and that kidney, I believe it was like sent in by like some sort of medical student at the time, but it kind of just went along with everything, so people believed it, and it wasn't until the newspaper put that letter in the newspaper and people started reading it that everyone's like, oh fuck, Jack the Ripper, yeah, that's what we're gonna fucking call him.
Yeah,
So
and he was sensationalized almost immediately after that, but it wasn't just because of, well, historically because of the name, but the way that he was killing people what had never really been seen before. You're talking about, I mean, maybe again in parts of history that are unaware to us, but the press is starting to be something that is easily distributed or more easily than it had before, coinciding with the Industrial Revolution. You're starting to be able to produce newspapers so that almost everyone can at least get a hold of one eventually, even if it's a 3 day old or whatever. And on the front page, over and over again, you're going to find Jack the Ripper. And the way that Jack the Ripper got, or the way that this young man came up with the Jack the Ripper nickname, is because Jack the Ripper used to slash his victim's throat from left to right specifically. And then he would slice their abdomen down their rib cage and open them up, and then typically stab them in their pubic area to finish them off. Sometimes he would take body parts. Sometimes he would take, just embowel them, like just pull their intestines out. Um, there's obviously the famous killing of him drawing with, or not drawing but writing with blood on the walls, that kind of thing. So his MO wasn't always exactly the same, but the way in which he killed was, his first victim, or what they believed to be his first victim, was not killed that way. She was stabbed. But they still think it was him because a lot of serial killers, including John Wayne Gacy, did not find their the way that they killed people until there were several kills in to their process. A lot of the times, once they got that first one out of the way and they got brave about it, that's when they would actually come up with their MOs. Um,
I feel like
so
that's a pretty big leap, though, right? Because I mean, from the first kill to like the ones following is just like, all right. I feel like with most serial killers, it's like, all right, this is something that happened. All right, like with, I believe it's like with Gacy, it was like, all right, first it was a stabbing, and then it was into strangling. And I feel like, all right, let's do a stabbing, and then let's go into fucking ripping them up. Like it's kind of like a big leap. Like no baby steps. It's just like, all right, we're just gonna fucking run with this and rip this
it
motherfucker up.
it could, and again, I'm no ripologist or whatever the fuck they call them. But the explanation for this particular leap is that when you when you look at it historically, there's no way to tell how many victims were between victims. So
Mm.
we have a number of victims that were found, but there's a large contingent that believes a lot of his first victims were dumped into the River Thames, or maybe closer to the Whitechapel area, and or buried, and there's no way to actually find out. A lot of the victims, the reason that they were found or thought to have been found is because he was running, like he was about to be discovered, and so he just ran away and left the bodies there. They don't think that he was intentionally that careless until the end of his spree. Juan is joining us now. Can you hear us, buddy?
Yes, sir. How's
Oh, you're
everyone
not
doing?
dead.
I am not dead. Jack didn't get me.
Ah,
See,
Hey,
hey, that joke.
Oh,
No,
you fucking dads.
how's
and your
everybody
jokes.
doing tonight?
Kind of wish he did after that joke.
Oh, doing pretty well, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I was keep having some technical issues, but I think we're good to go now. I know I'm halfway through, but still.
So I just
Alright, cool.
want to say
So you're gonna lead the rest of this talk then, Juan? No, I'm just kidding.
Ernie, what were you saying?
so like Whitechapel,
The band.
The band or the city?
the band, obviously like got their fucking influences from Jack the Ripper, even in the song.
Yeah, I think they
fucking-
all had to murder 5 women to get to join the band, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, like in the song Vicer Exciser, like it's about fucking like killing a girl and fucking like cutting her, like sewing her vagina slut. It's like just one less slut to walk this fucking earth.
Yeah.
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 I mean, yeah. I like Whitechapel, the band, and I wish I knew for a fact, but it does sound like I get what you're saying. Like it's not that very difficult to make that's where they got the connection.
Oh, well,
I
it
also
is.
don't know. I don't know of another place in the world called Whitechapel. Like,
Well, it is.
I mean, there probably is, but
it is how they got their influence for the name.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I did, before knowing about Whitechapel, I thought they were like talking about like a fucking small church.
You
Like
thought
a
they were a
small
Christian
white
band?
chapel.
Yeah, like a small white chapel. Not like that they were a Christian band. More of they were just like kind of poking fun at it and like, but you know.
White Chapelle.
Yeah.
So we get to so the murders, like there's a shitload of victims, man. There's a lot of detail, but you go look at it because it's not like that much changes. We're gonna go over a couple of famous killings, like because he did something particularly gruesome or just different or something that made him like more famous. But the majority of the victims, here's what you need to know: they were prostitutes and or women that he could easily prey upon in another way. Um, the majority of them were prostitutes, but there were several occasions where he just took he saw an opportunity, he took it. Maybe she was a little drunk and she was going to walk home by herself. Maybe she was like that kind of thing where when he saw an opportunity, he took it. But mostly, it was very easy to get a prostitute in Whitechapel at this time. The price of prostitution was 4 pennies, which also was the price to pay for a bed for the evening. So if a woman were to go and prostitute one time, that means that she could go and sleep in a safe place or at least safer than out in the open on the street for the night. And so coincidentally, a lot of women, because they couldn't do anything else, they were not allowed to work in the factories. They were not allowed to work hardly doing anything. So a lot of women did turn to prostitution if they were unable to get married, if they were unable to find another way. And so it was very, very easy to go and offer a woman 4 pennies for prostitution. She would follow you somewhere, and that's how he killed most of the women.
Gotta
It was
sell that
Wait a
wop.
minute. You're telling me I could have got a prostitute for less than a nickel?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Or you could have had a bed to sleep in that night. So, all right, let's take a poll here, guys. Would you rather have a nice, warm bed to sleep in, or would you rather fuck some prostitute?
What's the weather like in London?
It's cold as shit there, bro.
It's cold as dick.
I'm gonna take a
And
nice
then-
warm bed.
You
Well,
wanna
and
take
then
a
that's-
nice. God
That's the
damn it,
other
Juan.
thing is that like
Get the fuck back off this podcast. I'm just kidding.
as dangerous as it was for women, it was significantly less dangerous for men, but it wasn't safe by any means. Because if they knew you had a job, they would rob you. Like if they knew you had a regular salary, then it was just like, well, we're gonna if he fucking gets drunk and sleeps on the street, or he just decides he's gonna go to sleep on the street, we're just gonna fucking stab him and take his money. And so that 4 pennies, you really, I mean, it really, really was a decision to make for everyone involved. I mean, these women, this is not sex work in an empowering way. I mean, this is sex work to survive. I mean, a lot of these women put in very precarious situations. And so we have.
I also had read that, I mean, due to those same reasons. Like, these prostitutes were just doing it wherever. I mean, it's not like when you think of, I don't know, when I think of prostitutes, I think of going to some, like, cheap motel room or something like that. They were just, like, fucking right there on the floor in some back alley. Because, I mean, if you think about it, if a bed costs 4 pennies and the sex costs 4 pennies, they were just, it's just going to happen wherever. So it's just, all right, let's go to this back alley and you could fuck me on this trash can or something. Like,
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Is that they were literally having sex on the streets because if you were gonna fucking have a bed, then the guy was gonna have to pay for it, and oftentimes he wouldn't.
you telling me this sex is gonna cost me 8 pennies?
Well,
You must be out your goddamn mind.
I ain't paying double, bitch. So the stark reality here too with Jack the Ripper is that the violence against prostitutes was fucking common as fuck. Like, not only was there no sympathy for these sex workers except from other sex workers, there wasn't, like you said, in a brothel there's a lot of women there, and if something terrible were to start happening, those other women could maybe jump in and help them. They had, well, so some prostitutes had what are called bullies, which is now known as a pimp, and these men would run these women and protect them for a part of their money. And I say a part, most of the time I imagine it was the majority of their money. And so these women are just being exploited left and right. That's a very sad part of this story. Right under the murdered victims is that a lot of these, the reason that Jack the Ripper set himself apart was because he was so brutal to these women. But if he was just going around killing prostitutes, we probably would have never heard about him, except for the actual brutalization, because literally prostitutes were dying all over Whitechapel every single night. And so again,
murder.
and maybe not always murdered, but I mean brutalized and all that stuff. So that's the last time. We're not going to keep bringing that up, but that's the context for how he got away with a lot of what he did.
Hey,
Now,
before we go more into it, Michelle's here, so she said, "Yo, Michelle, thank you so much for coming out and enjoying another night with us. We really appreciate you being here, and hopefully you'll jump into this conversation with us."
Yeah, so Michelle, thank you for being on our Midsommar episode. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and if you have any comments, we will be paying close attention to answer any questions or comments you might have.
Michelle,
So
how much do the whores cost at your bars that go around there? Is it 4 pennies? Because if it's 4 pennies, I'm gonna start going with y'all to these bars now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great thing to say.
I don't know if there's whores that go to the bars.
$12. I'm sure.
Ooh.
I'm sure that somewhere there is, but I've never seen one.
You've never seen a whore at a bar?
Hell, dude, with a fucking microphone. But I've legitimately never. I was just recently telling you that I had never seen anyone smoke crack until I went to San Francisco. I've never seen like a whore like a prostitute. Like I've never seen that exchange happen or like.
I have.
I had a prostitute come at me when I was maybe 13 years old, 15 years old. So I lived in the Northeast growing up, and me and my friend decided to take his mom's car to go to 7-Eleven down the street on Dyer. So for those of you guys who don't know, fucking Dyer is, it's fucking the, I don't know, ghetto of the Northeast El Paso. And we're leaving Dyer, and some fucking girl comes by the dumpster. She's like, "You guys looking for a fun time tonight?" And we're just like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I still remember this story because it was so fucking weird because I was so young. And she's like, "Come on, give me $20 and I'll suck your guys' dick." And I was like, "Holy shit!" And I only had $10 at the time because my mom only gave me so much money to go buy chips and stuff. But if I had $20, I probably would have got my dick sucked at 13 years old.
Oh my
anyway.
God.
You guys want to see something brutal real quick?
Yes.
So I'm dragging a little boy.
To use his body weight for something?
If I what's the point?
So there was I get it, yeah.
And if I would have gone there, I would have died.
Yeah. No, I get it. So we have. Thank you, Jesus, for that riveting story. But prostitution, obviously, in this again, like you hear about people murdering prostitutes now. I mean, not that it doesn't happen; it absolutely happens. But I mean, then it was just a common occurrence all the time, everywhere in this tiny one square mile radius. Well, it can't be a radius and a square mile, but inside this one square mile, there was a lot of prostitute murders happening, and the only reason that we heard of them is because Jack the Ripper was so brutal, and then he was made notorious. Michelle says, drive down Dyer. There are these motels where people hang out in front of. I once was walking to pick up my car from a nearby auto shop, and I had a cop follow me the entire way. I was so confused. And told Teaser about it, and he was like, duh, you're in the hot spot for hookers.
Hot spot.
Hotspot, hooker hotspot. Yeah, so
I've kicked out I don't know how many hookers from a parking lot in my time.
Yeah, so Juan's not just going around policing parking lots. He used to work at an adult store. That's why he is booting prostitutes from his parking lot. But did you really like? How would you tell? Like, what was? I mean, some of them it's super easy, but like
The way I was able to tell was because, well, first I used to have this little game with one of my coworkers where every time we could, because we had a lot of couples that would go in, right? So whenever they would go in and they were like laughing and giggling, like you could tell they were like genuinely together. But whenever you'd see a couple go straight to the back, there was zero interaction between the two. Sometimes in separate vehicles, it was almost apparent that it was a hooker. And not only that, but the girl would be dressed up very, very sleazy and provocative. Yeah. And then, so we would have this little game where, like, we would, like, remember, I don't know if you remember Backpage, but it was, like, thing for hookers. Yeah. So every time we'd see a girl like that, we'd like, dude, let's get on it. And then we'd look, boom, there she is. Like, that's her. So we'd point them out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and then it got to a point where sometimes, like, they would do their thing, and then I would go outside. Let's say I would go have a cigarette or whatever. Like, they would be, like, walking up to cars trying to solicit. And then some of the dudes would be like, hey, man, like, that chick is, like, she's asking, for money in exchange for, sex. Or, I mean, sex in exchange for money. And, yeah, so I would just go up to him and be like, hey, you know what, like, I don't care if you do your exchange or whatever the hell you're doing when you're in the rooms, but out in the open, I can't, if I'm witnessing it, I have to kick you out. Because I personally didn't give a shit, But, like, but if they're trying to do it in front of me, the exchange, then I mean, nah.
Would you ever mess with them, Juan? Would you ever, like, knock on the door and be like, hurry up, motherfucker, I called next?
Nah, I didn't. No, I never did. I did mess with a lot of people. Like, I would mimic, like, the dumb sounds that they would make. Like,
make a sound. I want to hear a sound right now.
Like, if well, it's because there was more a lot of gay sex than anything. So, like, if you could hear, like, a lot of clapping, like, me and my coworkers, we just walk by and be like, oh, fuck yeah, oh, yeah, like, and they would get all quiet, and then people would walk out all, like, awkward and, like, pissed off. We would just like to fuck with them, but...
So, yeah. Jack ripped that ass, huh?
And, no, the one of the funnier stories was one time there was a hooker with some dude, and this dude was so proud of himself, right? So he banged her, and he comes out and she leaves, and then you could tell he was like new to that or whatever. He was like young as shit, and he's like, dude, like that chick was so hot, and we were just like, yeah, dude, sure, why not, But I remember my coworker and I were just kind of like, there's something off about it, something wasn't right, So then he's like, yeah, dude, like the only thing that pissed me off is that she was on her period, so she wanted me to, do anal with her, and that's it. Or like, oh, for real? He's like, yeah, dude, like that kind of pissed me off, but whatever, it was worth it. And then my coworker flat out tells him, dude, so how much did you pay? This dude was like, dude, she charged me like $250, and we're like, damn. So while we're talking, I'm looking it up, and then I can't find her, and I'm like, damn, I guess maybe, she's not. He knows her from somewhere else or whatever. And my coworker finally pulls it up. He's like, dude, check this out. And I look at it. She was in the transsexual section. So either the dude had no fucking clue that she was a dude, or he was just trying to play it off like we wouldn't know, Because he's
Damn.
like, yeah,
I felt like you would
she only
feel.
wanted to do.
I feel like you would feel his balls.
Yeah, that's what I say, because he was trying to act like, yeah, dude, she only let me do it in the app. But, like, why would he bring that up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were just like, yeah, you fucked a dude.
I mean, I know that the time I did it, I definitely felt his balls. Like, like it was pretty clear. I'm like, bro, come on now. Like,
What did
Juan,
you
are
want him
there?
to do with his balls exactly?
I don't know. I was just
I'm
hoping.
just trying to tickle.
All right,
I
well,
was-
let's fucking divert this conversation and go back to Jack the Ripper for fuck's sake.
All right.
We're gonna go ahead and take the second shot that we owe Ernie, and maybe I can get to the end of this episode without fucking wanting to kill myself.
All right. To transsexual prostitutes.
Yeah,
Right, boys?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
So,
Jack the Ripper. The
It's
famous
hard-
serial killer.
it's hard to get back into Jack the Ripper after all we were just talking about. So, some famous killings.
It can translate to a
famous
lot of
killings.
shit that's going on nowadays, to be honest. So
We're not talking about nowadays, Juan. We're talking about Jack the Ripper.
In 18 what?
1888.
1880, yeah.
17 foot. Oh, I fucked that up. I said
1788.
Alright, let's go.
So, the Catherine Eddowes murder. So there's a lot of stuff going on with Jews at this time. The Jews are thought. Hello? Can't hear you guys.
We're here.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
So the Jews are thought to
What
be
were you saying?
Okay. All right.
Oh my god.
The Jews are thought to be taking over London. If you've ever seen, what the fuck? It's my favorite show. Cillian Murphy. God damn it!
What?
How am I fucking blanking on this? Peaky Blinders. If you've ever seen Peaky Blinders, you see that even when they're talking about them in the UK, so this is after World War One, around 1920, there's still a lot of anti-Semitism, and that starts with the Jews moving into parts of London, and people being so the Protestants and the Catholics believe in the same God, and they fucking kill each other over that shit. So technically, the Jews also believe in the same God, but the fact that they don't acknowledge Jesus as the Messiah is enough to get a lot of them killed and for them to be ostracized. And so, there were articles that were published talking about how Jack the Ripper was in fact of Jewish descent, if not a Jew himself. They don't know where this is coming from. How could you possibly tell? No one even sees him. No one even has any idea who he is. So how would you know he's Jewish? That being said, after Catherine Eddowes was murdered, the words "the Jews are not the men to blame for nothing" were found scrawled on the wall in chalk, and it was suggested that it was written by the killer. And so this is confirming a lot of early indications that he was Jewish. Although a lot of the anti-Semitism was to blame for those early indications, now there's confirmation that he's a Jew. And unfortunately for a lot of Jewish people, there was retaliation after this happened. There was a heightened sense of anti-Semitism in the way that in the United States there was already a lot of anti-Muslim sentiment, and then 9/11 took that to a different level. There was already a lot of anti-Semitism in Whitechapel, and then after this incident, that anti-Semitism rose to a different level. So Jack the Ripper was never caught, and this isn't a spoiler alert, we're just trying to give a time frame here. He was never caught, and he was thought to have never killed again after November 1988. That obviously cannot be proven, but no one in the Whitechapel area, or even the greater areas of London, was ever killed in that exact fashion ever, or maybe copycat killers later, but for a long time, and there's no way that Jack the Ripper could have done those. He's thought to have stopped killing in November 1988. So we move on to some other historic murders, that well, the most famous murders that he committed. Um, there's what was thought to be a a rumor about how, well, it was like an urban legend that he took someone's blood after he killed them, and on the wall he wrote, "She must have been smart. I enjoyed her brains," or something like that. This is largely thought to be an urban legend, um,
I
and something. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, talking about with Jack the Ripper and everything like that, since he was never caught, there was just so many different theories and urban legends involving Jack the Ripper. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're gonna go into more detail as far as with this one, but uh, there's, people they want an end to the story. They want something to say, okay, this is what happened. And most of us, if we don't get what we want to hear, we're gonna, we're gonna try to put two and two together, and we're gonna try to, become our own, all those early on ripperologists, and they're going to, that's what they're called, and they're going to try to, piece the puzzle together. I know for me, one of the ones that I thought was crazy is the writer for Alice in Wonderland. They believe he was the killer, and he would like put hidden messages in his stories on how he killed these women. Sorry for going in there, Josh. Go for it. What were we gonna continue?
No. Please go ahead.
No, so yeah, so you're gonna have different people as far as like I know another big theory that I heard was Jack the Ripper. Um, After his, I believe it was one of his first, or it could have been one of the first or the last ones. I'm not too sure because I don't have my notes right here in front of me, unfortunately.
Right.
Um, that it was the husband of one of them, and he ended up just killing four more people to throw the cops off the trail, to say like, no, it's a mass serial killer. This is what's going on, and no one's gonna tie me into because I married this whore of a woman, and I'm doing this, and they're gonna think it's some crazy serial killer, and um, I'm gonna get off scot free. So, there's different people that that think that that's the theory, or some people. One of the most famous ones is it was a rich gentleman, because it's with it being a poor side, and prostitutes who were being murdered. The cops weren't going to arrest someone of a strong public figure, so they were just like, all right, well, this guy is doing this, and he's kind of in their eyes, he's taking care of the scum for us, and he's getting them off the streets, and yeah, he's performing these fucking insane, horrible acts, but whatever. He's a powerful figure in the public eye, and we're not gonna make shame of his name. So people were just doing everything that they possibly can to try to piece this puzzle together, and try to put a story, because unfortunately, like Josh said, they never did catch who the actual person was, and a lot of people wanted to take credit for it and send in fake letters, and send fake, send organs to the thing, trying to take claim, saying that oh, it was me, but we'll honestly, we'll never know.
Yeah. So those are a lot of really. You made a lot of really good points. The first being that, uh, you know so many stories are made from not knowing what the truth is, from not having someone captured. As soon as someone's captured, and you get at least handwriting from them, you would know a lot of what is fake and what is real, especially in a time when all correspondence was done in freehand. But what you get instead is, and this case, Jack the Ripper as a serial killer, is referred to over and over again when we talk about sensationalizing murder, when we talk about sensationalizing specifically serial killers. You get the same phenomenon almost 100 years later in the United States with the Son of Sam. So making the Son of Sam into a public figure, making him into this boogeyman, only hurt things. Obviously, David Berkowitz was caught, but you're also talking about BTK. BTK was, and you're also talking about the Zodiac. You were feeding their ego. You were feeding the game that they were playing, and people became obsessed with them. People want. This is the reason we watch fucking horror movies, man. It's the reason this podcast exists. We want to explore that area of life because it gives life itself a mystery. It gives something to be discovered. If there's a boogeyman, I have something to fight. I have something to rail against. And Jack the Ripper was that for not only the people of Whitechapel, but then the people of London, and furthermore the people of Britain. You know, that's they had a boogeyman and they ran with it, and every sick fuck in that could hear about it wanted to be this guy, and they wanted to take credit. The letters that are written into the police, some of them are seen from the same person. You see that in the handwriting. A lot of them are not. A lot of them are one-offs. Um, and you do get copycat killers, and you do get people killing and then claiming to be Jack the Ripper, and you get all these urban legends about what he wrote on the walls, when really the only thing they think he wrote on the wall that one time was the thing about the Jews not being responsible, and even that they have a hard time saying is anyway connected to her murder. It just happened to be very close to where she was. um, and so it's a giant mystery. Again, we are not claiming to be ripologists. I've been doing research for the last 2 days, not constantly, like it's my fucking job, but over the last couple of days I've done a lot of research, and largely what you get from this is that nobody fucking knows anything except that they found bodies that were all mutilated in the same way. But as far as suspects, which is going to be what we're going to get into next and what we're going to get into last, um, no one was ever caught, and there are some pretty good cases that we might come up with here in a little bit, but nothing that distinguished one person from the other, or the letters. The letters, no one of the suspects was connected to those letters that were written in, which is a big kicker to this whole thing. So, how are we feeling up to now, everybody? Juan, what is your take on? I mean, do you feel like he's a boogeyman? Do you feel like maybe this is all the same person? Um,
Uh, I feel that it's yeah, like the whole boogeyman thing. I agree, um, because again, it's such a mystery that for all we know, he could have done maybe not even all the killings, or maybe he did way more than there is. And like you said, there's probably a bunch of copycats who probably, continue doing what would be his work, and just trying to take credit for it. And that's what makes this dude so fascinating, that we really don't know what he what he actually did and what he didn't. So I imagine you know being in that time, and shit, if I was a kid in that time and this rumor was going around, I'd be fucking shit scared, because it really was a boogeyman. Like, you don't know who or what it is. For all we know, people probably were thinking like, dude, it's a fucking vampire or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think it's
you
fascinating.
you
It's
talk
fucked
about
up, but it's fascinating.
it could be a vampire, and actually Jack the Ripper did inspire folktale for things like Dracula and that such. And you're talking about who is it and who possibly in copycat killers, and you have some sort of similar killings happening, across the nation. And I know that I had read one that there was like happening like in Austin, Texas, and stuff like that in the back in the days, and they're thinking, okay, well, or even uptown in Canada or in Chicago, and people are like, well, shit, is Jack the Ripper traveling around and killing? Like, where did he originally start? Like, no one fucking knows. And since we are all trying to, piece together things, we're just gonna go ahead and say, okay, he's moving here, he's doing that, this is that. There's just too much to really comprehend as far as where
Yeah.
this starts and ends here. For all we know, he killed one person, and that's
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But
That's
we'll never fucking know.
I get those vibes from like that movie, Interview with the Vampire. How they go to like a brothel, they just drain the hookers and all that stuff. Like that. Those are the kind of like I can see people thinking things like that about this.
Well, and that's the thing is that, I mean, especially in the 1800s, the killing of sex workers, again, not even in the area, in the city, in the country, in the world, sex workers were thought of as lesser than and brutalized and killed. But all of a sudden, it's this thing that you can do that doesn't make you a piece of shit. It makes you famous, and people are completely disregarding these lives. So in Mexican culture or Hispanic culture, whatever you want to call it, we have, and we've talked about this before, we have what is called La Llorona. And La Llorona is a folk tale that involves this woman who drowned her kids because she found out that her husband was in love with another woman. There's a lot of variations of the story, but ultimately the purpose of La Llorona, in addition to being just the scary story that you told around the campfire, was to get kids to come inside before the sun went down. Because again, in older days when we didn't all have ring cameras and surveillance and shit and cell phones, it was very dangerous for your children to be out at night. You didn't know anyone could pick them up, anything could happen to them, and so you wanted your kids, no matter where they were, to want to be home before the sun went down. And La Llorona was a way to do that. But La Llorona didn't actually kill anyone. La Llorona didn't. It's a ghost. It's a boogeyman. It's a story. Jack the Ripper is all of a sudden being used to get kids to home before midnight. It's being used to keep law and order and peace amongst people. And the lives of the women that are dying are being completely disregarded because people are fucking smiling and laughing and telling each other ghost stories about this man that was actually killing these prostitutes.
Do you think?
And like I said, go ahead.
Do you think they were ever like, son, you better get in, if not, Jack the Ripper's gonna get you? And the
Dude,
kid's like,
yeah.
whatever, Dad, I'm not a fucking prostitute. Like, oh, god damn it.
There had to be some fucking kid who said that.
Yeah, I mean, and
He's only after whores like mommy. Oh, motherfucker.
now you go get it. Now you go get it.
How you gonna get it?
told
Get in
you-
the fucking house.
I told you that in confidence.
He went from fucking England to fucking Southern real quick.
I had just completely stopped doing my London accent because I couldn't jump anymore. But
Alright, let's go.
so we have the sensationalization. Is that a fucking word? I
Yeah.
think so. So we have the sensationalization of of Jack the Ripper, and we have the complete disregard for these women. Some people actually rooting this motherfucker on because he's only killing sex workers, and especially in the high class of England, which was very class. I mean, it still is kind of, but the classes in England mean a fucking shitload, especially then. And you have these high class people who were never going to be affected by this. There are no high class people in Whitechapel where the murders occurred. They're in completely different parts of London. They're never going to be affected by this, and you have them sensationalizing this man, and some of them, completely disregarding what he was actually doing. But we're going to get into the suspects, and then we're going to finish this episode. But in the meantime, I want to just take a little break, maybe take a shot if you guys are into that, and little break, and then we'll get into the suspects here.
I want to just go ahead and say I think Juan's a fucking suspect. Juan's acting real sus as fuck right now.
It's acting
Wait,
a little
is that
sus
what
right
that is? I've been seeing that everywhere, the whole sus thing. Like,
Yeah, so the sus thing is about Jack the Ripper, Juan.
shut the fuck
It lives with us into this day. No,
up. You're real sus, motherfucker.
it's for a game called Among Us, which I fucking told you to download.
I did. I just haven't played it.
Okay. Dude, I remember the first time my friend taught me how to play, fucking Raheem. He was trying to show it to me, and I was like, all right, cool. I think I'm getting it. So, round one, I die real quick. Round two, I already get the idea, but I was the fucking killer. So he's like, look, follow me. I'm gonna show you how to do it. I fucking killed him right away. I was like, yeah, I know how to play, bitch. He was like, you son of a bitch.
Holy shit.
What's up?
Simeon Rice. defensive end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl winner in 2002, Hall of Fame candidate. Just talk to me on Twitter.
So you got a sticker right now.
Oh wow.
I mean, I'm pretty goddamn excited. Let me tell you.
What do he tell you?
He asked someone to explain Lovecraft Country to him. And this was earlier. I didn't do it while we were talking. But, and then I did. Or, like, not, I didn't, but I was like, hey, like, it's super complicated. Honestly, you have to look up reviews and you have to read the subtitles. And then he was like, I hate reading subtitles, but thanks for the advice.
Tell him to,
So, yeah.
tell him to follow our podcast.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bother him when he's fucking been nice enough to talk to him. My first ever Buccaneers jersey was a Warren Sapp jersey, and it was very close between Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice, and I decided to get Warren Sapp, but really, really loved Simeon Rice. And then later, Derek Brooks and Rondé Barber would be more important to me, but I was a lineman with it. Okay, all right. So, so Jack the Ripper. Oh, we're gonna take a shot first because I really did want to take a little break, which was nice. It was nice to talk about football.
Yep, players fly.
Yeah, big win today from the Eagles, who are now top of the NFC East
With one
By
win.
half a game. By half a game.
by half a game. Hey, top of the division, baby.
Dude, this division is... They should not... Nobody from the NFC East should be allowed to enter the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's coming from the person that's not in first place.
No, I said that before you guys even played, when I actually thought you guys would lose as well anyway, so...
In 2007, the 9-7 Buccaneers missed out on the playoffs because the 8-8 Seahawks were top of the NFC West. So I don't want to hear any fucking crying about they shouldn't be able to enter the playoffs. Fucking win the division, you win the division. Cheers, boys, to football.
Like that year when the Seahawks also... I think they were like 7 and... No, what were they?
They've also made
7-9?
it in at 7-9, yeah, but not at the
Yeah.
Buccaneers' expense.
That was at somebody's expense. I know for sure.
Yeah, for sure there were other teams with better records, but the reason I remember that specific year was because I was livid. All right. So we're going to finish Jack the
Josh,
Ripper here.
Sounding so
Yes.
angry you could kill a prostitute right now.
Nope, never that angry. No. The Suicide Boys have a song called "Treat 'Em Like a Prostitute," which is actually very good, but never angry enough to kill a prostitute. So
I would treat a prostitute so nice. I would take her out for dinner. I would compliment her on her pretty dress.
would you?
I would bring her back home, give her 4 pennies, and fucking murder her.
Imagine like you do this. So like you go and you get on fucking Backdoor. What was it called?
Backpage.
What?
Backpage.
Backdoor.
Well, that's what you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm always trying to do, baby. So you get on Backpage and you like find this hooker, and then you like you take her to like Cafe Central, and you fucking like take her to the Indigo Hotel, and you guys fucking, you've got candles and it's nice. You've got the fucking suite at the top of the building, and then like everything's said and done, you're like, here's your 4 pennies.
I think you would
Dude,
weird her out by that. I think she would be like, "Why are you trying to take me to dinner? Just like, you trying to fuck or what?" Like,
I mean,
I bet you think strippers love
I
you too.
don't know.
I was watching... Sorry.
We only had 4 people listening, and now we're down to 2. So maybe they're unhappy with either the football talk or now.
You stole my prostitutes.
it was a whore listening in, just like, "Oh my god, is that what you think of me?"
I mean,
fucking. It reminds me of The Simpsons. There's a part where they're like in this old west place, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go visit the whorehouse and the cat house, the brothel, and then the old mission. They're like, oh, thank God, lots of prostitutes in there too. And then you just have like a shootout with these cowboys. And you just hear them yelling like, yo, you stole my prostitute.
God damn.
I could just
Oh
imagine
my-
prostitutes taking a feller home and then the other one yelling out, "They took her jabs!" Alright, let's fucking continue. Let's end this shit. Alright, go on, Josh.
I know, right?
Hold on, I'm talking to Simeon Rice. I'm just kidding.
He's like, yo, Simeon, I got a prostitute for you. 4 pennies, motherfucker. What you gotta say?
So we have suspects. This is going to end our evening. I'm honestly very surprised we made it to an hour and 20 minutes. And we're not even done. Because I really thought this was going to crash and burn a little bit. Because there's just so much information and.
We're talking prostitutes all day, baby. Josh is we're supposed to be talking about Jack the Ripper, not fucking prostitutes.
A lot of this episode, to be fair, was about prostitutes, but that's all right. If I can, we talk about.
What's your price, Josh?
For someone to have sex with me?
Yeah, to have sex with you. So we're talking about these prostitutes having to. No. These prostitutes have to sell themselves to get a warm bed at night. How much are you selling yourself to get a warm bed at night?
How much am I selling? Is she hot?
No, it doesn't matter. You're selling that booty, boy.
Oh, to a man's.
To whatever, man's, woman, whatever. You're selling yourself.
Well,
for a warm bed at night.
It's not whatever. Because
what's your going rate? State that on Death by Daylight right now.
If she's hot and we're talking about, am I in 1988 London or it's happening right now?
Yeah, we could go 1988 London.
If she's hot in 1988 London, zero pennies. Go ahead and life is short and people are dying, and they have 12-year-old boys sweeping chimneys and giving themselves lung cancer. Life is a terrible place. So if I find a hot girl that's willing to give me a bed for the evening, there's no chance that I'm charging her anything. Let's say she looks kind of like a witch. I'm probably charging maybe 2 to 3 pennies. If it's a dude and we're both risking that we're going to be caught and then killed because being gay was illegal back then, you're probably going to have to pay me close to 15 pennies.
Okay.
And even then, probably just not going to partake in that. Am I the only one that's going to have to answer this question?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, this was what? 18 what?
1888. Michelle says that her price would be $69.
Heyo. Wait, where's the siren? Where's the siren?
Very, very apropos.
Here it is. Okay, there was the air horn.
I didn't hear it, but hopefully it is less loud than it was when we first introduced the siren.
Oh yeah, it's significantly less loud.
Suspects.
Yeah.
Sus.
I'm trying to fucking power through all this other shit.
He's like, Simeon Rice, talk to me, guys. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I really don't. I don't. The amount of hero that this fucking guy is. Holy shit. Okay, so we're talking about suspects here on the Death by Daylight podcast. We're talking about suspects related to Jack the Ripper on the Death by Daylight podcast. And so there are a couple of really prominent suspects here. The first one is actually royalty. And all of the suspects, or not all of them, but the majority of the ones that were actually considered to be like real suspects are upper class dudes. So when Jesus brought up the Gentleman Jack like 100 minutes or whatever it was ago, the Gentleman Jack, the phrase Gentleman Jack, actually comes from Jack the Ripper, because once they found out that that it was highly likely that he was from the West End, or that he was from a richer part of London, and that he was actually a high class gentleman, coming into Whitechapel and killing these prostitutes, some people started referring to him as Gentleman Jack. So we have the reason.
You're cutting out, Josh.
Josh, you with us?
Microphone, for fuck's sake. So the reason that they thought that he was upper class is because they felt like, and again, there's so many like more detailed reasons, but the most prominent one that we find is that they believed that there was a problem, that a class problem here. No one that was trying to survive the world of Whitechapel would have taken the time and the effort to do something this fucked up, and then where would they have gone? Many people did not have homes. Many people did not, especially in Whitechapel, there were very few actual permanent homes in Whitechapel. A lot of these people had to pay every single night to stay in a different place. Their day's wages would go to food and then to sleep there at night. And Jack the Ripper, obviously, he had to wash the blood off of him. He had to, he did all these rituals, and so it was believed largely that he was from an upper class. Ripperology is part of, they dive deep into this theory, and so we have three main suspects that were brought to light by Sir Melville McGanton. Nope, that's not it. McNatton. And he was the main investigator, so we had a conjoint investigation from members of Scotland Yard, which, if you don't know what Scotland Yard is, Google it. It's awesome what Scotland Yard is, and I don't want to get into it now, but they're an investigative, they're like the FBI, CIA, they're an agency, Scotland Yard. And they're fucking awesome, so go check it out. But he was one of the main investigators, dealt with all of this. And when he was investigating Jack the Ripper, he investigated, there was royalty involved, there were high-class people involved, and nothing ever came to fruition. There was also a husband that was involved, like Jesus was saying. Nothing ever came to fruition. There was lack of evidence. They didn't ever find like a body part. There were a lot of Jesus fucking Christ. There were a lot of body parts taken, but there were not any found except the ones that were mailed in, which at the time they didn't have the technology or even know where to begin to connect one body part to the other or anything like that. The lack of forensics, the lack of technology made it very easy for Jack the Ripper to get away with these things unless you were going to actually catch him in the act. Like, you were literally going to walk in and he's fucking stabbing somebody or ripping their throat or whatever.
Even at that, he could have taken the Shaggy defense and was like, it wasn't me. And they're like, well, I guess it's not him.
They got me red-handed. Yeah, so there wasn't the point of the subject part of this episode is that it doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter who the suspects are. It doesn't matter, because unless they caught this man red-handed, there was never going to be enough evidence. There was never going to be a single suspect pinned down. And because they were high class, a lot of these suspects, they had the money to make these things go away. The police were largely bribed by upper class to get away with all sorts of illegal activities, small activities, drug trafficking. The upper class was never caught doing anything because they paid off the police. They ran these towns, they ran these ghettos. A lot of them were landlords in these ghettos, and so you were never going to catch these people. And that's where we find ourselves with the Jack the Ripper episode. If you want to know more, because this just wasn't enough for you, I really like to think of what we just did in this episode as to pique your interest. A lot of people have heard of Jack the Ripper. He's a common household name, but a lot of people don't know why. And I just wanted to pique people's interest as far as to why you should be interested. the time in London, this time in England, is incredibly interesting. If you're into literature, if you're into history, this time in England is incredibly interesting. Mary Shelley is writing Frankenstein. Bram Stoker is writing Dracula. Williams Wordsworth is prominent. Lord Byron is prominent. The revolution of taking nature back from these industrial hellholes that were Whitechapel is happening. So there's a lot of things that go into Jack the Ripper, and there's a lot of things that go into this story. Go and explore, because we will not be having another Jack the Ripper episode.
And there's also Four Penny Whores.
Four Penny Whores.
I use an inflation calculator. So your 15 cents for a gentleman is $4.10 today.
What?
$4.10.
Yeah, that's what you're giving it up for today.
Oh, that's so sad, dude.
So
I really thought it was gonna be like $20 or whatever.
No, it's not. So, and I got a 5 on me right now, so I'm gonna come
I
over.
got 5 on it. I'm gonna get this whole for real. Yeah, so go check it out. We're not gonna have another Jack the Ripper episode, but we hope that we piqued your interest in this infamous fucking serial killer. And I think that part of the allure for me personally is that he was never caught. We know who BTK is. We know who the fucking, we don't know who Zodiac is, but we know who the fucking Golden State Killer is. We're starting to get answers for a lot of these things. We will never have answers for Jack the Ripper. Not ever, ever, ever. Because they didn't even know at the time to keep evidence or to keep DNA or any of those things. So I'm going to let Jesus and Juan discuss a little bit. I'm going to sit back. I've done a lot of talking this episode, which I'm perfectly okay with because there was a lot of research and stuff like that. But I'm going to let these dudes discuss a little bit, and we'll get into some housekeeping, and then we'll get into the end of the episode. Go ahead, boys.
Okay, so if I was a hooker...
That's how you're going to start.
Michelle says, I don't know if you chatted about this yet, but have you all seen the film with Johnny Depp and Heather Graham about JTR?
Something, what is it called? Something about hell? I know which movie.
I haven't seen it.
From Hell or something like that. But
From Hell.
I saw it a long time ago, but I honestly couldn't get into it when I was watching it, so I can't recall it. But I actually have been wanting to. I hope that one day there's a cool, really legit Jack the Ripper movie made.
Is there nothing that's made of Jack the Ripper that really piqued people's interest, or what?
Well, so Michelle's talking about it right now. She's saying that, I don't know if y'all chatted about this yet, but have y'all seen the film with Johnny Depp and Heather Graham about Jack the Ripper? From Hell, it's called, because it's so bad, lol. But he looks hot in it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
if he a 4 penny whore, I might just give him a little.
I watched it and I just was not into it, and I was just like, nah, I turned it off.
Well, isn't it kind of fucking crazy that a good movie hasn't been made about this dude yet? Come on.
It's hard. Because since he's such a mystery, I mean, you can't really make him unless they make a straight up fiction about him. You really can't do much other than play the detective or a cop trying to solve the mystery. But other than that, you don't really get if you want it to be accurate as hell, you can't really get Jack the Ripper, because I mean, for all we know, it wasn't even a guy, So it's just so hard to do that. I mean,
I think I read that in another one too, that was a theory, that it was another prostitute.
It was an angry prostitute.
What are they called? Like a madame?
A madam.
Yeah, that she was killing prostitutes. I mean, yeah, there you go. There's just so many theories. And I think it was really cool, just because we're never gonna know. It happened over fucking years and years and years ago.
Yeah, I mean, this was before forensics, before technology.
The cops used to just fucking get everything and like, all right, well, let's put a white chalk line. I think this is even before the white chalk
It could.
line.
I mean, for all we know, it was probably a fucking cop. You know what I mean? So like, that's how it stayed a secret. I mean, who knows? We really won't ever know. So trying to depict that it would be more of like a mystery type movie. But you really, first off, there's still no answer to that. So that movie won't even have an ending that you're like, oh, cool. Like this is the end of the movie. Like they solved the mystery. Like no, it just.
Stephen King's gonna do it, and it's gonna be a fucking spider in the end. So.
Well, so Michelle agrees with you because she says, I think giving him a face or a name would kill the allure we all have on the topic, and I don't disagree with that at all.
No, and that's like a big thing that's a problem that people had with and I know it's slightly off topic, but that's the same issue that people had with the remake for Halloween, the Rob Zombie one, which I personally love, but a lot of people hated that Michael Myers was given like a backstory and everything, where in the original there's literally like no like who the fuck is he, why is he doing what he's doing kind of thing. And that put off a lot of people, so I imagined it would be the same kind of situation if they were to do that with this guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I would like to see something fiction just for the sake of like, oh, cool, Jack the Ripper.
Okay, so actors now. Before we call it a night, who would you want to say would be your Jack the Ripper?
Actors. Shit.
So
He was.
for me, go ahead.
I don't know. I was gonna say if they're trying to keep it supposedly around 25 to 35 years old, right?
I'm gonna stray away from that entirely and go with Steve Buscemi.
Why?
Dude, he would fucking.
He's a creepy looking motherfucker.
Oh my god.
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
I'm just kidding.
They would have
African Americans in London.
They would have tarred and feathered that black man the second he was caught near that fucking murder, dude.
I'm kidding.
I would go Paul Rudd because that would be fucking awesome.
Paul Rudd, dude, I like that. I like that a lot. He'd be super charming, and then he would just fucking murder prostitutes.
I'd go with Danny DeVito.
Okay.
Michelle would go with Joaquin Phoenix, Toni Collette, or present-day looking Brendan Fraser.
That's a
I have
good
to
one,
look up.
actually.
I have to look up Toni Collette because I don't know who that is.
I actually don't either. Sounds
Toni
familiar.
Collette is a woman.
Ah.
Oh, she's the mom in Hereditary.
Oh.
Okay.
I like those choices. I think out of those three choices, I would go with modern-looking Brendan Fraser. So we've got Brendan Fraser, we've got Steve Buscemi. Who are the? Oh, you picked Paul Rudd, Ernie. So
Yeah.
you guys go ahead and make your selection, and then we'll sign off.
I'm surprised no one said Rob Schneider.
Why would anybody say
yes.
Rob Schneider?
No, I really like that too. I really like the Rob Schneider pick.
I feel like that's obvious. He's about the right height for those people, for them people back in the day.
True, dude. They were really fucking short.
He also was a hot chick.
He's male gigolo.
He's played so many different characters. He could definitely fit in.
All right, so we've got Rob Schneider. Your last one. Let's go.
Fuck, I got nobody. I can't think of anybody.
Very
you know
good
what?
one.
Adam Sandler as Little Nicky.
Oh shit! We're gonna make this an Adam Sandler film. It's gonna be fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's got fucking Rob Schneider. He was like, "What can I associate with Rob Schneider? Oh, Adam Sandler.
Come here, hooker. Just go ahead and take you out back.
We'll get Rob Schneider, Adam Sandler, and Kevin James to take turns.
Oh shit!
So that's it for us.
Don't you mess with the fuck. Don't you mess with the Ripper.
Michelle says Michael C. Hall. I think that's an unbelievable pick. But the problem is that he was already Dexter.
That's the
So
reason I didn't pick him. That was my first choice.
I don't know if that hurts him or helps him, but it's
Dude,
hard for
imagine
me
a
to be
Terry Crews.
okay, again, he can't be black. They would have arrested him immediately.
No, like, I
Just
think
based
I
on
would
the
have
fact-
noticed that giant black man leaving
You know
behind
what?
the...
What's that dude's name? The one that he played Freddie Mercury.
Oh shit! Fuck, Mr. Robot. Why can't I find it?
I forget his name.
Remy
Remy Malek?
Malek?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I think he's a creepy looking fuck, but
Dude, yeah.
for that reason.
If you've never seen Buster's Something Heart, Buster's Bleeding Heart or something, that movie, I mean, super, super fucking creepy. Yeah, Rami Malek. So if you've never seen that, go check it out. Word up to the boy Rami Malek. We're gonna get the fuck out of here. I never imagined in a million years the fucking the Jack the Ripper episode to go this long. Thank you to Michelle for commenting and showing up. We love you, dude. Thank you so much. Please let us know when we can go and support El Velvet Elvis, and we will go and do that. Happy birthday, Heather. It's not quite 12, but I'm not going to get to say it to you at midnight, so happy birthday. We love you, Mom. Thank you, Haley, Mom. We love you. And please go follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Death by Daylight. Go follow us at Facebook, Death by Daylight. We're trying to get other things on board. Please tell your friends, like, subscribe. Again, we're going to try to do Friday nights, boys, because this is October, and I wanted to talk about this very briefly. I will promise I'll make it brief. October is going to be our month. We're going to we're planning all sorts of really cool stuff. We're going to be covering Halloween stuff. We're going to be covering fall stuff, October stuff. We are going to be October centric. We're going to come at the shit really fucking hard. And we want everybody down for the ride. So please follow us on all these so we can tell you if we're going to do Friday. We can tell you we're going to do Wednesday. We're going to try to do Wednesday and Friday, but again, as the pandemic lifts, we're all having our own stuff to do. So it's not 100% that it'll be those days, but we are going to try to get you 2 streams a week, no matter what. And they're all going to be really, really cool with Halloween, October horror stuff. This is our season, Death by Daylight fans. This is our season, and we're going to fucking do everything we can to make it good for you. So that being said, everyone's going to have their 1 minute of talking about whatever they want, and then we will be signing off. Go ahead. Why don't you get us started, Juan?
Well, no, I just want to say thank you. I know it's a Sunday night, but thank you for sticking around. And I actually have some cool ideas that I want to discuss with the guys as far as what I would like for us to talk about. But of course, those will be announced later once we actually come to an agreement as to what it is. But it's going to be a fun month for sure.
Beautiful. Ernie, go ahead.
Thanks for watching me play, guys. I hope you guys liked watching me play that game. If you didn't, sorry. But yeah, I'll be back on DVD next time. Just thought it would be cool to give you guys a little break. But thanks for kicking it. Peace.
All right, Jesus, what you got for us?
Alright, again, like Josh said, I want to give a big shout out to my wife. Happy birthday. Love you. Appreciate everyone out there who tuned in today, who's going to be watching this in the future. I don't apologize for the penny whores. I love them. and I'm going to try to slip in some more penny whores in the conversations this October.
Beautiful. So what? One more time for Michelle, Ernie. What was the game called?
It was called Limbo.
Limbo, Michelle. I wish I would have remembered that because I played it before, but I didn't. So, Limbo. To answer your question,
It's about a little boy who's in limbo, obviously, and trying to find his dead sister.
it is a beautiful game, and like I mentioned before, the physics are excellent. So that's gonna be us. That's gonna be it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming in, and we hope to see you all for what we think is going to be our Wednesday episode. But again, we'll see. Make sure you follow us for updates. Go ahead and sign off, everybody.
Peace.
As always, Fuck the free world.
313.